All right, my friends, MacroPulse quiz, 16 September 2025, question number 3. Report the coefficient of variation for the component of real, private, non-residential fixed investment. That's the same concept that we've been playing with the other two questions that we had on this quiz so far, with the highest coefficient of variation. What was that? If you recall, what we were suggesting was that when often we're looking at sample statistics across series with different levels, averages, means, it's difficult to compare their volatilities and swings because how do we measure those swings? Standard deviation. What are the units in standard deviation? The same units as the object of interest. So if we have something that's really large, like a component and its total, the total is going to have a higher level of standard deviation almost by definition. How do we adjust for that? Well, can we scale for the typical level? That's exactly what the coefficient of variation does. Take the standard deviation, divide it by that mean. We're going to use the Q over Q percent delta from Q1 2020 through Q2 2025. And we're going to use those same FRED codes. So, we've already had one date. We've already had all these four tickers. We've already had Q, go from Q1 2020. But what do we need now? We want the quarter over quarter percent delta. All right, we're going to do PCH. I don't want you to memorize these. So how would you know which one is the quarter over quarter percent change? Go to FRED. Go to data manipulations. Sounds awful, right? You're manipulating it, but transformations maybe. And what we want is a percent change. Well, from what period to what period? Well, don't forget the way that FRED does it is it's the change relative to whatever is the frequency of the data. The data here is quarterly frequency, so that would be the quarter over quarter percentage change. We want PCH. Do that for all four. Click Get Data, and you get this lovely setup there. All right. So now what we want to do is for structures, which is the first one, and equipment, which is the second, there, IP, intellectual property, which is the third, and then the total, which is the fourth. We want to compute the average standard deviation and then construct the coefficient of variation. Average. We can make it fancy, put it into a table. I'm just doing it like this. So we have first quarter of 2020. Now, notice that I didn't need to go ahead and grab the fourth quarter of 2019. The reason is because I downloaded it as already a percentage change. If I downloaded only the levels, LIN, in the FRED language, I would have needed the Q414 to produce this data item in row 7, but it already does it for us. So you're all good. You could do that. You could compute standard deviation, STDEV.S, over all those periods. And then coefficient of variation is the ratio of those two. Take 9, row 9, standard deviation divided by row 8, which is the average, 42. Now, the nice thing is that when we're mimicking B, C, D, E with H, I, J, K in terms of Excel, you could just take and drag that over. Now, when you drag that over, you drag over everything. So I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of that fill. All right, so which one has the largest coefficient of variation? Nope, nope. Oh my goodness. Structures are ridiculous. If you just take a look at the swings that they have relative to the average, it's quite a bit more dramatic than the others. All right, hope that helps.